All right, 85. Since also there are certain offices and duties belonging to every kind of virtue, and since each virtue its peculiar praise is due, it will be necessary to specify in a panegyric on justice what he who is praised performed with fidelity and equanimity, or in accordance with any other moral duty. In other points, too, the praise of actions must be adapted to the nature, power, and name of the virtue under which they fall. The praise of those acts is heard with the greatest pleasure, which appear to have been undertaken by men of spirit without advantage or reward, but those which have been also attended with toil and danger to themselves afford the largest scope for panegyric, because they may be set forth with the greatest ornaments of eloquence, and the account of them may be heard with the utmost satisfaction. For that appears the highest virtue in a man of eminence, which is beneficial to others, but attended with danger or toil, or at least without advantage to himself. It is commonly regarded too as a great and admirable merit to have borne adversity with wisdom, not to have been vanquished by fortune, and to have maintained dignity in the worst of circumstances. It is also an honor to a man that distinctions have been bestowed upon him, rewards decreed to his merit, and that his achievements have been approved by the judgment of mankind, and on such subjects to attribute success itself to the judgment of the immortal gods is a part of panegyric. But such actions should be selected for praise as are either of extraordinary greatness or unprecedented novelty, or singular in their kind, for such as are trivial or common or ordinary generally appear to deserve no admiration or even commendation. A comparison also with the great men has a noble effect on panegyric. On this species of eloquence, I have felt inclined to say something more than I have proposed, not so much for the improvement of pleading in the forum, which has been kept in view by me through the whole discourse, as that you might see that if panegyric be a part of the orator's business, and nobody denies that it is, a knowledge of all the virtues without which panegyric can be not composed is necessary to the orator. As to the rules of censuring, it is clear that they are to be deduced from the vices contrary to these virtues, and it is also obvious that either can be a good man be praised with propriety and copiousness of matter without a knowledge of the several virtues, nor a bad man be stigmatized and branded with sufficient distinction and asperity without a knowledge of the opposite vices. On these topics of panegyric, I don't know how to say that word. It's Panegyric. I'm saying panegyric, probably pangyric or pangery or some weird thing. Pan, panegyric and satire we must often touch in all kinds of causes. You have now heard what I think about the invention and arrangement of matter. I shall add some observations on memory with a view to lighten the labor of Crassius and to leave nothing for him to discuss but the art of embellishing those departments of eloquence which I have specified. 86. Proceed, said Crassius, for I feel pleasure in seeing you appear as a professed artist, stripped of the disguises of dissimulation and fairly exposed to view, and in leaving nothing for me to do, or but little you consult my convenience and confer a favor upon me. How much I leave you to do, says Antonius, will be in your own power, for if you are inclined to act fairly, I leave you everything to do. But if you wish to shrink from any portion of your undertaking, you must consider how you can give this company satisfaction. But I return to the point. I am not, he continued, possessed of such intellectual power as Themistocles had, that I had rather know the art of forgetfulness than that of memory. And I am grateful to the famous Simonides of Ceos, who, as people say, first invented an art of memory. For they relate that when Simonides was at Cranon in Thessaly at an entertainment given by Scopas, a man of rank and fortune, and had recited a poem which he had composed in his praise, in which, for the sake of embellishment, after the manner of the poets, there were many particulars introduced concerning Castor and Pollux. Scopas told Simonides with extraordinary meanness that he would pay him half the sum which he had agreed to give for the poem, and that he might ask the remainder if he thought proper, from his Tyndare, to whom he had given an equal share of praise. A short time after, they say that a message was brought into Simonides to desire him to go out, as two youths were waiting at the gate, who earnestly wished him to come forth to them. When he arose, went forth, and found nobody. In the meantime, the apartment in which Scopas was feasting fell down, and he himself and his company were overwhelmed and buried in the ruins. And when their friends were desirous to inter their remains, but could not possibly distinguish one from another, so much crushed were their bodies, Simonides is said, from his recollection of the place in which each had sat, to have given satisfactory directions for their interment. Admonished by this occurrence, he is reported to have discovered that it is chiefly order that gives distinctness to memory, and that by those, therefore, who would improve this part of their understanding, certain places must be fixed upon, and that of the things which they desire to keep in memory, symbols must be conceived in the mind, and ranged, as it were, in those places. Thus, the order of places would preserve the order of things, and by symbols of the things would denote the things themselves, so that we should use the places as waxen tablets and the symbols as letters.